Hey there, today's video is about a theory I made a year ago, known as Gear 4th Sunman. It's a form I speculated in which it takes Gear 4 to the next level by using fire, which I speculate to be the third form of armament Haki. Now the reason this is relevant is because next week I'm making a theory about Gear 5th Sun God. So you could imagine that a lot of the ideas I had for Sun Man would translate to Sun God. And because of that, I'm going to make this video, which is a shorter version of last year's video. Because I'm not going to reiterate a lot of the same stuff I said last year, but I'm sure some people aren't going to want to have to watch the full video. So here's a little piece of it. That way you can get it much faster and move on to next week's video. Now, one thing to consider is that this video is disjointed. In fact, it's out of order, but I just wanted to get the Sunman part first, and then we'll talk about other stuff later. So, here we go. Many of us have been stuck on Gear 4th being animal related, but really, only one out of the 3 current forms is named after an animal. In fact, there's no recurring theme among them. So you can't necessarily be able to predict the theme of the new forms based off the 3 we already know of. With that in mind, my conclusion is that between dragon, lion, and monkey, I haven't settled on any of them as the name. And I could see one or even all of them being used. Dragon Man being the one I prefer the most. However, the name I came up with that has me the most sold is Saruman. Yep, Sunman. It's simple and sweet, as it should be. Earlier I said that there's no recurring theme between the present Gear 4th forms, but that isn't entirely true. Boundman, Tankman, and Snakeman, they are all 2 syllables long. At least in English they are. And even though the story is written in Japanese, the names are meant to be pronounced in English. So like, for example, instead of Heavy Man, it is Sunekoman. So if this 2-syllable rule is real, then Sunman passes. I talked about the link between Luffy and the sun enough for you to have a good idea of why the name Sunman fits. In fact, much of what I said about Dragon Man, Monkey Man, and Lion Man still applies. Because Sunman can still embody the details of all 3 of those animals. First of all, Boundman has a bunch of animal-themed attacks, so Sunman, for example, could have attacks named after dragons or monkeys. It is obvious how Lion Man and Sunman can be interchangeable. He can still have fire hair, because it would not only make him look like he has a lion's mane, but make Luffy resemble the sun as well. Alright, so that sort of gives you the gist of what Sunman is in terms of, the thematics. I go a whole lot more into detail talking about how the sun is relevant to Romance Dawn, how the sun is relevant to Wano because it's based off Japan. I didn't, however, talk about Sun God Nika. That's because this video actually came out before Sun God Nika was introduced into the story. So, yeah, as I said, there could be themed attacks based off lions, dragons, and monkey. And because of that, I'm going to go into detail like what these attacks based off the, dragon, lion, and monkey are. The video started out actually me going, well, will it be Gear 4th Monkey Man? Will it be Gear 4th Lion Man? Will it be Gear 4th Dragon Man? So that actually became 4 before I talked about Sunman. So that's why it's going to seem a little weird and disjointed, but it should be a lot more seamless than that. A dragon theme works for Sunman because if the form lets Luffy use flame clouds, then that would mean Sunman allows him to use a dragon's technique. Many of you know Goku, or should I say Son Goku, but do you know of Sun Wukong? That is the original name of the famous Monkey King that inspired the character of Goku. It can be a double entendre. Not only would the sun in Sunman refer to the star in the middle of the solar system, but Wukong as well. Also, the name works best for my chakra theory. Solar plexus chakra would be the reason for Luffy developing Sunman. So if this is your first video by me, I have a series called Understanding Haki, in which I display the correlation between Haki and chakras. And there's 3 chakras that are the lower: root, sacral, and solar. So I speculate that Armin Haki has 3 levels: root, which is earth; sacral, which is water; and solar, which is fire. So that's just the gist of it. If you have the time, please check out Understanding Haki. Obvious feature is flame-based attacks. Basically a whole bunch of attacks like Red Hawk. Next, he could have flame clouds, which would give him the ability to fly, but Luffy could learn to lift things other than his own body, similar to what Kaido can do. Another ability I can see attributed to this form: a roar that is empowered by Conqueror's Haki. This works well with the theme of Dragon, Monkey, and Lion Man. Lions and dragons are the most commonly associated with powerful roars, and even Monkey Man works if it's based off the Monkey King, as Conqueror's Haki is often linked to kings. Also, some beating on the chest could be done to make it more monkey-like. If it is called Dragon Man, I could imagine more lightning-themed attacks like Thor Elephant Gun being used. So, another thing I kind of predicted, in Understanding Haki, I said lightning is an element of Haki. But, this isn't something that's entirely new, but there's been a heavy emphasis lately in the story with these lightning attacks, especially with Luffy now learning the advanced form of armament and Conqueror's coding. So, yeah, now that we know this, in hindsight, what I said in that theory makes even more sense. Also, a fire-breathing technique is possible. Obviously, that would go well with Dragon Man, and according to Hold'em's Lion, it would make sense for Lion Man as well. Also, him being a rubber man means he can take really deep breaths. He might even make a pun out of it and call his fire-breathing attack Gum Gum Hot Air Balloon. Lion Man may even get not just flames around him, but even fire hair, like Big Mom does. I say this for 2 reasons. 1, it would make him look more like he has a lion's mane. Also, do you remember Kumadori? He is often referred to himself as a lion, specifically because of what he could do with his hair. Luffy may have short hair, but he is also a rubber man, so it would make sense for him to grow a luscious mane. Speaking of stretching powers, the Monkey King has a staff that has the power to grow, so perhaps Luffy embodies that pole. Pause. Imagine him using his extended attacks in a new way. If you attack someone with a staff and they dodge to the side, the staff can then be swung in the direction that the target dodged in. An attack from striking somebody with your forearm would be weaker than a fist. However, combining the powers of armament hardening and armament fire, even an attack from the forearm could still be very deadly. Before I give you my conclusion, I want to shout out a comment I got from my Chapter 1000 review. Luffy could also have a bird-based form called Missile Man, since it emits fire, and I could see Luffy naming it like that. Yeah, so shout out to that guy who implemented his idea of, well, there could also be bird-themed attacks. So that adds another animal to that list. Also, one of my weakest points that I made was the whole Luffy could become like the power pole. I mean, he's already a stretching person. That was a stretch from myself to even include that in the theory, but still, I even included it in this short summarized version. If you look at my picture of Gear 5th Sun God, which it won't look like that in the full video. You actually get to see entirely what it looks like, but it's just a silhouetted version for now. You can clearly see he has a pole. So how would he implement that? How would he get his hands on a pole or whatever? Well, I'll explain that in next week's video. In fact, it's not really next week. It's a Saturday, which is half a week from now. Lastly, we'd have Rokugan, Ultimate Cannon of Energy. It would probably be the strongest attack of One Piece if used by an absolute master. I have a theory that fire plays a role in Armin Haki, so perhaps a fire energy beam could be used, truly turning a Rokushiki master into a Dragon Ball Z-like character. If this were to be used by Luffy, perhaps he would use it in a fashion similar to Gum Gum Leo Bazooka. Should he do that, it would look super similar to an iconic attack used by another monkey. And with that, covers the secret endings extra topic. How cool would it be to see a beam struggle in One Piece? And as I said earlier, all three themes I mentioned, Lion Man, Monkey Man, and Dragon Man, can be associated to this attack. So I cut out a lot of context there just because, I want to make this video shorter. But basically what I was saying was Luffy might get to a point in which he has to defend against Boro Breath. And he might be put into a situation where he can't dodge out of the way. Maybe he has to protect somebody or whatever the reason. So I said, well, what if he gets like a fire cannon, like the 5th ability I have listed there? And that secret ending portion from my Rokushiki is Haki is something I actually made even before that video, but that kind of gave a good idea as to why Luffy could even shoot out some kind of fire beam. It would just be combining the elements of Rokugan, which I speculate to be kind of, advanced arm and Haki, and the 3rd level, so basically the 2nd and a 3rd level of arm and Haki to create some kind of fire blast or fire cannon, similar to like a Kamehameha or Boro Breath. So what I have here is just to summarize what Gear 4th Sun Man is passing on to Gear 5th Sun God in the canon of my theories. He has fire hair that can stretch, flame clouds, which he can fly and also lift other things, flame breath, that Gum Gum hot air balloon, which is not the same thing as Boro Breath. Gum Gum hot air balloon would be more like a, flamethrower. And then the fire cannon I was talking about earlier. And then the 4th ability. Come on, Elijah, you can remember this? And the 4th ability is a lightning roar. And just lightning attacks in general, but the lightning roar especially is something I could see Luffy use in this Gear 5th Sun God. And then 6, I put ... That's because there are more abilities that Gear 5th Sun God can use. Because sure, I gave all that stuff that Gear 4 Sun Man could do, but this is a Sun God, so he's obviously going to go above and beyond what Gear 4 Sun Man could do, and that's because of Devil Fruit Awakening. This was just sort of like a guide to help you in next week's video, which comes out, I keep on saying next week, it comes out on Saturday, it's not next week, because at some point I'm literally like gonna say, hey, I made this video a year ago, and if you want to know some of what I think Gear 5th Sun God can do, just watch that video. I'm also gonna say, hey, watch this shorter version. But if you haven't already, watch part 1 of Luffy's Awakening, which was me talking about Nightmare Luffy and how that will inspire Gear 5th. And basically, that's it.